All pop culture references mentioned during this podcast are analyzed and scored by artificial intelligence. Jeff and Chris have learned not to argue with AI's decisions and strongly suggest you shut your mouth as well.
All right, well, Chris, very exciting, man. This is episode 51. We just did our first video version of the show.
We did.
For those of you that were watching us, I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is going to be the format from now on. So for those of you that are still listening, I assume that the listeners are kind of like me. Sometimes you just want to be doing something else. Maybe you're in the kitchen doing something, or you're in your car driving. Yeah, no worries. You can still do that, you guys. Here's how it's basically going to break down for future reference.
So if you do want to watch us, in addition to listening to us, you can check out the video on Spotify. You can also just go to our website, which of course is free, and that is nicepolpod.com. Or if you prefer, you can go to YouTube, right? And all you do is go in that little search bar and type in @NicePolPod. And there you go. Chris and I will do our best to describe to the listening audience. And I guess, Chris, that would be for the visually impaired folks.
That would be, or just think of it like a ball game, Jeff.
Yeah.
And we know you're not into sports ball, but we have to do a little play-by-play.
Yeah,
right? We have to
right.
describe the play. It may not be in minute detail, but we will try to add enough specifics that we just don't sound like we're ranting about nothing, and you hear a bunch of noise going on. We'll get you through it.
Let's get into it, Chris. I have, once again, just like last episode, lined up a smorgasbord of not PSAs, but in this case, commercials from it's mostly going to be the 70s and 80s, maybe one or two 1960s slipped in there, but they really run the gambit.
Horribly politically incorrect, which is always kind of funny to watch, or just, I'm sorry, what now? Right? To a whole different category, which is just shock and awe, right? So I'd like to start us off
with our first selection of the day, if you don't mind.
Let's go.
Mother always told me, sit up straight, eat all your vegetables, and stay out of small foreign cars. But Joey, Mother never told me about Ultra Bright.
We'll tell you. Ultra Bright has more whitener than any leading toothpaste, yet it's as safely gentle for teeth as the leading children's fluoride.
Mother had a feeling I might be too appealing, so Mother never told me about Ultra Bright.
Again, for the listening audience, right? It's Farrah Fawcett, not the majors. She's in a park. She's laying down. She's in the grass.
Yes.
She's with a guy. He's also laying down in the grass. And she says some stuff that's like just super weird. And the reason that I chose this, you're probably thinking, Jeff, why the hell did you choose this? So many things actually pop out into my mind here.
This is for Ultra Bright toothpaste. And the whole point for her was, Mom never told me about Ultra Bright.
What is being implied here?
Well,
that
my point.
Ultra Bright is going to lead to sex? Or Ultra Bright is somehow going to help with the sex? Because it looks like they're about to have sex. That's what it looks like. They are in the park. They're laying on the ground. And then, right, they get into a little red convertible. So if they haven't already had sex, by God, they're about to. And where does Ultra Bright come in? I'm sorry. I just don't get the message.
Mom never told. Well, what is the problem? She never told you about it? Did you use it? Did he use it?
Right.
Like you said, if she never told you about it, then you don't know about it. So he's got it. Is it some sort of magnetism where it's like she's drawn to him immediately? Like, oh my God, he's got white teeth and a cool car. Let's go take our clothes off. I don't know what is happening here. And again, what is the message saying? Use Ultra Bright and, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Well,
but
it's very strange that she says, one of the first things she says is, my mom always told me never to get into small foreign cars. Is that like a side topic? Did the mom have some relative that was killed in a Fiat convertible? Is she like just super racist and she doesn't like foreign cars? What is that advice? Never get into a small foreign car. I don't even understand the message. What is it?
Only go out on dates with guys who drive Ramblers? I don't know.
You and I were alive back then. Shouldn't we know? Is this code for something? Don't get into a small foreign car?
Now, since she ultimately does get into the small foreign car, did the ultrabright influence her?
We don't know, Chris, because we still don't know what ultrabright did. We don't even know what it did. For those of you that are listening to this episode and not actually watching, I just want to say ultrabright is only shown. You don't see anybody brushing their teeth. There's no close-ups of their teeth.
No.
There's no little and then like a little star shines on their tooth. Other than the fact that they literally said the word ultrabright, we don't know what the fuck that has to do with the entire commercial.
It works for whoever buys it, apparently.
Yeah.
And forget about what the 4 out of 5 dentists say. Forget it. You're just, mom never told you about this, and you go on with your life. So.
Exactly. All right. Well, Chris, the next one that we're going to see here, this is going to require some deep explanation and understanding. Again, I guess I won't try to tease it too much. I just don't want to have anything in your mind ahead of time. I just want it to be a blank slate, which is really easy for us at this age.
Yeah.
All
Every
right.
day.
Are you ready, man?
I am ready. Let's go.
Okay.
I found a recipe you won't find in a cookbook, but it's sure nutritious and a real money saver too. Take a quart of Carnation Instant Non-Fat Dry Milk. Add a quart of whole milk. Mix, chill, and serve. You get 2 quarts of fresh-tasting low-fat milk and make a real savings on your milk bill. Carnation Instant Milk. Good for you and your budget, too.
Wait a minute.
Hold on a second. This is going to get really tricky. For those of you at home, you're going to have to follow along, okay? First of all, everybody, this is clearly, am I wrong, Chris? That was Vicki Lawrence from the Carol Burnett show.
Oh, wait.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. And this is like 70s prime, like mom, Vicki Lawrence. She's got the mom haircut, kind of the Florence Henderson, parted on the side. She's got a scarf. She's immaculately dressed in the middle of her kitchen. And Vicki Lawrence inviting us in.
So, you guys, I was unaware that this was a giant problem back in the day. What she's doing is she has Carnation Instant Milk. Now, everybody that was alive back then, we've heard of it. They have it to this day.
Right.
So it's basically powdered milk that you add water to. What she was saying was, first, you take half a pitcher of the powdered milk, then you add to it actual milk, and then you mix the milk with the milk, like it's a recipe. And then you stick it in the refrigerator as if, hey, man, now you've got milk. Oh, I'm sorry, is that how milk works? I have to get powder and then water and then add real milk so I can get milk? What the fuck is that? I'm sorry. Was there a giant milk shortage back in the early 70s that I'm unaware of? Was there some sort of Center for Disease Control warning about like mad cow disease?
Just add milk. I mean, it's like, and adding milk, it's brilliant because you know what? Because essentially, think about it for a second. It works with any beverage. I've got some beer, and then I pour it into beer, and guess what, Jeff? I've got more beer. Okay, so conceptually, I kind of see where she's going. You remember when you would make Kool-Aid, they have those little packets, right? There were these little square package, and it would make like a quart of Kool-Aid.
Right.
But me and my friends, being geniuses, just like, well, let's just add more water, right? And we had like a half gallon of Kool-Aid, which we had like a half gallon of purple water, basically, right? Because the math wasn't mathing. And this is sort of like, it's like, yeah, you're right. I'm saving a few. I have this big box, which essentially serves as what, Jeff? It serves as my milk extender.
I could totally understand if this was like the Great Depression or something. And it's like, oh man, if you're looking for a way to make more milk from milk, that's not milk. This is the way you want to do it, man.
First of all, and the crazy thing, and again, listeners who are not watching, it's Carnation. So it's that familiar logo, that red and white label, right? And Carnation instant breakfast, right? And Carnation ice cream, right? The great frozen malts we used to get at the convenience stores,
right?
The Carnation, didn't they have a Carnation thing at Disneyland, right?
Yeah,
a whole, pavilion.
Big time. Oh, yeah.
Big pavilion of Carnation.
Carnation was a big deal, yeah.
So you're thinking, oh, it's Carnation. That's right. This is, how can I say it? This is poor milk, right? This is like you cannot afford. But again, it was the 70s. Vicki Lawrence would not lie to you, Jeff. Stretch your milk out. Extend your milk. You have bottomless milk as long as you've got this big-ass box of Carnation condensed milk.
I'm not sure Vicki Lawrence wouldn't lie, because isn't she the one that famously sang at least one version of That's the Night That the Lights Went Out in Georgia?
She did. Nice. Yeah, that's a nice bowl.
And if you try, Chris, to piece together those lyrics, you will come up very fucking confused. Someone's getting executed, but they're not, because it's the father of the son of the brother that died a while ago, and now they're still alive, but are they? I don't know, man. Vicki Lawrence is definitely not the one I would go to get the straight answer.
And she did on Carol, she did play Carol Burnett's mama on the Carol Burnett show, and she was clearly younger. She was like a younger version of Carol Burnett, right? She was like Carol Burnett's backfill, right? If ever something ever happened, and they could just kind of loop her in.
All right, well, Chris, not to be outdone, I've got another one here for you, but now I will give you one warning.
And this is perhaps one of the most politically awkward, and I don't mean like political, I just mean like politically correct. This is one of the most awkward commercials I have seen in a while. And when you see it, you'll know. You and I have absolutely made fun of this a bunch in the past. We've seen examples of this in the movies and the cartoons back then. But I think this is the worst example you're ever going to see. I'll leave it there. Let's take a look.
Hello, Fukada-san here with very interesting cooking tip. Did you know real Remon made from real fresh Remons? Oh yes, real Remon tastes just like real fresh Remons. Very good, very easy to use. You can use real Remon wherever you use fresh Remons. In cooking and baking, or many places. Can even use to make nice Remon pie. That's lemon. Yes, Remon. Try real Remon wherever you use fresh Remons.
So,
Christ.
Yeah.
Christ.
The only thing that they were missing in that commercial is the gong, or the
dong.
Again, for those of you listening in, you probably don't need my visual guidance on this. This was a chef in a kitchen back behind the scenes in a restaurant. And of course, because he's Asian, they wanted him to say the word lemon at least, Chris, I think 17 times they made that poor guy say the word lemon. And of course, he's pronouncing it with an R instead of an L. And then he's got this smart-ass chef next to him, the white dude, that's basically like, that's lemon.
And back then, we all looked at that, Chris, and we're like, yep, that's right. Ha, ha, ha. I mean, that's just the way it was. Yeah.
And okay, last things first. Even the graphic at the end of the commercial, listeners, viewers, says Remon. Okay, so they're in on the racism. Okay, it's in this. It's right there in full view. I can't be sure. I'd have to go back and look. I think he bows. There is no gong, but he kind of bows at the camera.
Does. Yeah, he does. He bows. Yeah.
I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that was not part of their cultural traditions in Japan to bow at a camera. His syntax is off, okay, and it's so off that it's like it's had to be in the script, right? It wasn't like they just gave the script to a guy who's not an English speaker, and he's got that sort of goofy expression of like, oh, isn't he, sort of slow-witted because he's a foreign guy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you know damn well that dude is actually just some guy from Bakersfield. And as soon as they yelled cut, he's like, was that a good take? Yeah. Do you want me to do the Remons a little harder or? No. You're good. Yeah. Just make it even more stereotypical. Yeah. Just more racist. Yeah. Just race it up.
Hard R
Yeah.
or soft R.
Yeah.
You know, Remon. You know what I mean? It's just like roll your R's a little bit more. Jesus H. Christ, that is just unbelievable.
And again, we say this a lot, Chris, but you have to go back to the writer's room and know that the only way they could have ever come up with it is somebody said to themselves, what are we selling? We're selling a lemon-flavored liquid. Lemon. You know, it'd be funny. Have some Asian dude try to say lemon.
We're selling racism. We're selling stereotypes, which sell in the Midwest, right? Because everybody was gonna remember. I almost said Remon, this commercial, because of just the obvious of its time, sort of, you know. And it's just like unbelievable. That's a keeper. But I feel yes, it's full disclosure. We're laughing at how socially acceptable it was and how common it was, and in retrospect, how horrifying it is to watch it decades later. God, how do you top that one?
Well, Chris, I'm glad you asked.
Oh.
This one is again politically incorrect, but from a completely different angle. This has nothing to do with race. This one has more to do with gender. I can hardly wait for you to watch this one. This is a constant topic on the show, so we'll get into it after we watch it. Let's roll the tape.
Harvey, want anything special for your birthday?
Just a decent cup of coffee.
You're kidding.
I'm serious. Honey, your coffee's undrinkable.
Pretty harsh.
Well, so's your coffee. You know, the girls down at the office make better coffee on their hot plates. Well, see you later.
And he didn't even kiss me goodbye. You know, if I could just make a decent cup of coffee, I could relax. So, relax. Why don't you try Instant Folgers? Tastes good as fresh perked. Good as fresh perked. I'll surprise Harvey for his birthday tonight.
Hey, great coffee.
It's Instant Folgers. Doesn't it taste good as fresh perked?
Better.
Better than those girls make at the office?
Honey, their coffee can't hold a candle to yours.
Instant Folgers taste good as fresh perked. Try it.
That was marriage back then, guys. That was the nuclear family. That was the ideal marriage. Your entire identity is surrounded by whether or not you can make a good cup of coffee. And I love, Chris, the fact that the dude doubles down. He says something super fucking horrible, right? What the hell's wrong with your coffee? And she's like, hey, man, I'm doing my best.
Fuck this shit. Do better. I mean, there's chicks at the office that can make it way better, and they're using a motherfucking hot plate. All right? I don't know what your problem is, bitch.
And then he just goes, well, see you later. And he just gets to leave. Well, I'm out of here. I hope that didn't completely shatter you mentally. Bye. Dude, what the fuck?
Harvey's got some problems. Okay. First of all, again, it starts with the standard 2-shot and this, you know, immaculate kitchen, you know, black and white. This is, we get credit for this being a black and white one. And the discourse is basically like, yes, honey, your coffee is shit. And the girls, right. You know, and this is Harvey's birthday. Now, you know, mind you, it ruins the wife who's only honey. She never gets an actual name, right? And somehow he's like abrupt. He leaves like bye, right. Doesn't even kiss her goodbye as she says, as she tells the neighbor who's kind of dressed like kind of a maid, kind of Alice in Wonderland kind of thing. And she's the sage who can like not only, you know, save a marriage, but provide a damn good cup of coffee that's instant. That's Folgers. Here, give him this.
Chris, you bring up a good issue, a good point there, because this is presumably first thing in the morning. And when the guy says, well, I'm out of here. Now, I could be wrong, But the way that it's cut, the way that it's edited, it looks like the other chick is just sitting there the whole time. Like she's just always been in the kitchen.
What are you doing in our house at 7 o'clock in the morning? Why is there another woman
in the kitchen? And then she's like, hey, I happen to have the answer to that right here in my hands. And it tastes like fresh perked.
Might explain some of Harvey's anger, I guess.
Right? Maybe there's some other relationship happening that Harvey feels like he's just not a part of and doesn't understand.
Or there's some sort of sexual tension between Harvey and her, and he can't act on it because
maybe
at least not now, because his wife makes him such shitty coffee that could be grounds, no pun intended, for divorce.
Well, Chris, I feel like you did intend that one. That's
I teed it up, but it's just Harvey's got a little bit of an edge, and he hasn't even gotten to work yet.
Yeah,
right. His coffee is terrible. I hope nobody cut Harvey off on the road driving to the office, even though those girls are cooking up a fine brew on their hot plates, which I didn't even know was a thing. I didn't know you could make coffee on a hot plate. And then Harvey's birthday cake with the one candle and the can't hold a candle to you. And then toward the end, I feel kind of uncomfortable because it's like all of a sudden Harvey's turning into, it's some, Rico Suave. I don't know. I can't believe I just said Rico Suave. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, and it's like, I don't want to know what happens next. Thank God they fade out.
Well, look, I want to make you even more uncomfortable. So that is the mission on these commercials. Okay. So please, let's just go right into the next one. On this one, I'm not going to give you any sort of build-up, any sort of explanation, no description. I just want you to absorb what you're about to watch. All right, man, here we go. Absorb away.
This is the first time Wayampi Indians had ever been filmed. They had never seen red hair or anything like a pathfinder.
Here on the equator, the air conditioner was a big hit. And I'm pretty sure they liked our music.
But you know what? We decided we liked their music even more.
Yay! Chris, I don't know about you, but I grew up with science fiction, and on Star Trek, they had a thing called the Prime Directive, right? Where you do not upset another society,
another
situation,
culture.
Another culture. If you are going to inundate them with some weird stuff like advanced technology, these people, presumably, and all I can pray for is that this is not a real tribe. So for those of you listening in, this is a Nissan Pathfinder that goes into the rainforest, and we can see a bunch of the indigenous peoples, right? Presumably from an isolated tribe, and they're gushing over this vehicle, right? They're rolling the windows up and down. They're putting their face in the air conditioning. And of course, the idea is, hey, not only are we going to completely fuck up this tribe, completely rewrite their mythology,
all of their mythos, all of their legends, all of their folklore, their culture, just rip it the fuck out. But guess what, buddy? I've got a parking lot full of these goddamn Nissan Pathfinders, and they ain't moving themselves, okay? So if I have to go down to the fucking rainforest and destroy an entire indigenous tribe, then by God, that's what we're going to do.
But then they just leave them there. Bye. Good luck trying to get your head around what you just saw. Fuck you. So please, Chris, tell me that was just a studio and they were all paid actors.
They've never seen 0.9% financing before, right? It's like everything about it's like, of course, yeah. It's like, look, power windows, right? It's like, no shit. They've never seen a toilet before. If this is a real, actual indigenous tribe,
I hope it's
day
not,
29 on their road trip, they've never seen red hair.
And by the way, you're half hoping, Chris, that they're going to get dragged out of that fucking Pathfinder.
You're almost hoping it's going to happen, you know?
If we want to jump back into a really bad stereotype that maybe they'll be boiled and their heads will be shrunken. I mean, that would have been like the obvious sort of companion piece, at least if it were the same ad agency that was doing the Remons commercial, right?
I loved your comment though. They've never seen 0% financing before, and they couldn't believe it. just You're just practically waiting for one of the tribesmen to say, "Are you
Right.
telling me that it comes with a
Right.
front disc brake and rear
And
differential,
airbags?
and it's a sport utility with this kind of gas mileage? I can't believe it." You don't have to be from America to appreciate this kind of a value.
Right. Look at these cup holders, right? It's like, who is the audience? It would have been very appropriate if it just ended horribly, horribly wrong, and those two travelers never made it past day 29, and the tribe started living out of that Pathfinder thing. But God, that is a gem. That is a gem. And the Pathfinders have not been around that long. That commercial is not digging back into the 60s. That's, we were around when that commercial was airing. So I mean, that's what's scary.
Yeah.
That was a while ago, but yeah. Wow.
Now, Chris, if you don't mind, I would like to end this
feast of awkwardness and cringiosity from the 60s and 70s and 80s with something that is just absolutely insane. This will make you go, I'm sorry, what now? This is happening? How are we watching this on network television? What is going on right now? So this is the one I saved for last. I would call this the dessert. I hope you enjoy it. It's super surreal, very David Lynchian almost. That's all I'm going to say. Let's go ahead and take a look. Oh my God. Chris, how are you even going to begin to explain this to the people that are listening but aren't watching?
How would you even explain that?
For those of you not watching, although I suggest you go check it out on the website. I think I suggest that.
And again, for those of you listening in, Sammy Davis Jr. is sitting at a table. To his left is a bucket of ice. To his right is a bottle of some kind of bourbon.
Some kind of whiskey. Yeah.
Some kind of whiskey. And by the way, he's wearing, to say that shirt is low cut is a bit of an understatement. It just goes right down to his belly button, which is pretty awesome. And of course, he's got the full-on gold chains, looking super cool. Classic Sammy Davis Jr. Every finger has a ring on it. And he starts tapping the glass, tapping the bottle, and doing all the things we just heard. But it doesn't stop there. It just keeps going and getting weirder and weirder. And what I love about this commercial is, Sammy Davis Jr. probably just walked in, probably kind of drunk. He was probably just hanging out with the Rat Pack, went into the studio, and they gave him a bunch of lines, and he's like, fuck that, right? And for him, it was just like improv. And by the way, these aren't just like, 30-second commercial spots. This thing just keeps going and going, right? I like how he meticulously takes the tongs, for instance, and takes one little cube of ice and carefully puts it in the glass, right? And the way that he uses the bottle as a guitar. And by the way, get this, everybody, drinking hard alcohol on network television.
Which you can't even do now. They bring it to their lips or they toast, but you never see anybody actually drink it.
Oh, he swallowed, dude. He definitely swallowed, and that was a big deal back then. I mean, well,
so to speak. Maybe Jeff, maybe that was take 28.
I was just thinking the same thing. Oh my God.
Okay. And the director's going, we got to wrap this thing up. Do we have any footage that we could and you can't tell the cuts. Maybe that was a bunch of the bam, bam, bam. Maybe that was why it was so herky jerky, because it's you did a great job, but it's indescribable. To just like the feeling that you get when you see this, and you hear it, and the ice and the jingling in the glass, and the air guitar or the bottle guitar, and the kind of, and again the whole look and feel, that his tinted glasses and the gold medallion, and the shirt, he's got like angel flight pants on or something on underneath that, right?
I mean, I'm going to say that this is just Sammy Davis Jr. completely being himself, and he was one of the, well, seemed like anyway, I didn't obviously know him personally, but just seemed like one of the funniest, coolest, greatest guys ever. I mean, everyone probably has some skeletons in their closet. Maybe he did, but he was just being pure Sammy Davis Jr. And from a pure entertainment standpoint, that commercial dude has everything. You are just so out of your element. It is so awesome to watch, right?
Awesome. Those were amazing. That was quite a lineup, Jeff.
Thank you. Appreciate
quite a lineup.
it. Well, Chris, now, as we did in our last episode, we have this new tradition, right, where artificial intelligence listens to the transcript of this show, finds all of the deep cuts, all of the pop culture references that you and I made, and the more obscure those references are, the more points AI is going to award us, and then it's going to give us the final score here right now, and tell us basically who won the Nice Poll contest for this episode. So, Chris, again, without further ado, let's go ahead and see who won this episode of Nice Poll.
Oh, damn it.
Huh? Hello? Thank you. And by the way, that score, I didn't think I was going to get, right? And I looked back like I did last time, and I just don't feel like I had a ton of polls, but I guess it was just barely enough to squeak out a victory. And now, Chris, I think if we're keeping track, you won the last one, I won this one. So as far as I can tell, that's 1-1.
That's right. My winning streak stopped at 1. So, okay. So those commercials, okay. I mean, Ultra Bright, Toothpaste or Aphrodisiac.
Right. Yep.
Sammy Drunk Jr. I don't know. The Remons, horrible. Okay, I mean, the stereotypes come to life. The Pathfinder, the stereotypes that they almost drive over, but they've never seen power windows before. Milk becomes milk. I will never forget that as long as I live. And then Folgers, damn it, Harvey. I'm gonna get you some good coffee, no matter what it takes. And all problems I didn't know existed,
right?
But they were all solved, and amazing commercials, and really indicative of their time.
I think when we asked that question for the millionth time, where did Sid and Marty Krofft get their inspiration? Why were things just so apeshit crazy and weird? Where did all these nutty ideas and nutty things come from? We still don't know, I guess, but all we can do is just look at it and revel in it. And of course, this is just scratching the surface, and we have barely scratched the surface.
All right, well, there you go, Chris. Episode 51 is in the can. I will say, for those of you listening in or watching us, you can get a hold of us anytime you want to make comments, ask us to put things on the show. Correct us. Let us know if we screwed up. Lead us in a new direction, something that you would desperately want to hear us talk about, even an experience that you had. We would love to hear about it, right? So that would be emailing us at nicepollpod@gmail.com, or just go to the website, leave a message or a comment on any one of these episodes, and that is nicepollpod.com, right? I will say that episode 52, I'm going to tease it. This is the first time we're going to do this. I'm going to tease the next episode. Did we, Chris, or did we not manage to interview, get this, a creature that originally sprung from the minds of Sid and Marty Krofft?
We did. It did. He did. And that's all we're going to say. But yes, it's a tease. A tease.
Awesome, Chris. Had a great time. What do you think? Till next time?
Till next time, Jeff.